Are we recording right now?
Yeah.
Okay, there's one thing that I want like a live reaction because I don't think you saw it yet. I'm going to read it quote for quote, and it's Ryan Tannehill on his thoughts of them drafting Malik Willis. And it is maybe my favorite thing ever because it's like you expect the starter, the veteran to like be like, oh yeah, I'm going to take him under my wing, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Nope, not Ryan Tannehill. Not Ryan Tannehill. I love that Ryan Tannehill went for the throat. He goes, we're competing against each other. I don't think it's my job to mentor him. I fucking love it, dude.
Very Aaron Rodgers-esque. I love that because he did the same thing with Jordan Love. He was like, nah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, but like Aaron Rodgers was just kind of quiet about it and like
True.
didn't really voice it. Ryan Tannehill's like, nah, this is my fucking team, dude. Like, I love that so much.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I guess I get it. Like, you don't want to train your replacement, you know?
Here's the thing, though. That was one of the biggest surprises of the draft was Malik Willis getting drafted to a team that already has a good quarterback.
Well, I think the first surprise was that he fell all the way down to where Tennessee felt like they should grab him.
That's the only reason I think they took him to begin with. I think it was like, look, we are a good team. Ryan Tannehill may or may not be that guy. I think Tennessee falls under the category of where the Colts were last year, where they were a really great team, and then they had a maybe at quarterback. Because you put a great quarterback in that team, that's a Super Bowl winner right there.
Well, yeah, that is kind of what every team now, like unless they're rebuilding, is trying to do what the Rams did.
Well, here's my thing.
They're trying to give me one. They're trying to. So for people that don't know what I'm talking about, they're trying to build up the team, and then they're like, all right, we just need like someone who's good enough because like Matt Stafford, not top 5, but he is good enough. You put the right pieces around him. You put Aaron Donald. You put Jalen Ramsey. You put Cooper Kupp around him. He can get you a Super Bowl. That's what every team is trying to find. And Matt Stafford is definitely better than Ryan Tannehill.
So here's my thing about the Rams. All right, the Rams are the team that made this year's draft so fucking incredible to watch.
Okay.
Because if you've watched the Rams over the past couple years, the GM has came out and said, fuck them draft picks.
Yeah.
And every scout in America was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, do we have to worry about job security now? Like, fuck them draft picks. That's our livelihood.
Yeah.
And then, so every scout's like, oh, you're out of your mind. Fuck them draft picks. You build a team at the draft. And then the Rams just won a Super Bowl by saying, fuck those draft picks. So, for a record high, 8 teams did not draft in the first round this year.
Yeah.
A bunch of teams said, fuck them draft picks. Every team out there right now is in a let's win now mentality, which is crazy, because not all 32 teams can win.
Not every team. The bottom feeders, like you got your Lions.
I still feel like they're trying to win. They're making pushes,
They're jumping up, but they're jumping up for rookies. We didn't get a single free agent that is on more than a 1-year deal. And I think that's where you got to look at this. However, to push back on your Rams point, I think Les Snead is a great GM. I think that he knows what he's doing. But when he says that, I think he's playing other GMs a little bit because, and this was, I think it was Brett Coleman, which if you don't watch his YouTube videos on the draft, definitely go watch them. They're real good. He was saying, the Rams say, fuck them picks, but they, in the last 5 years, 6 years, since Les Snead and Sean McVay took over, have had in the top 10 for the number of draft picks. They've all just been later round. So they took Jared Goff, and then they have stacked up on 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounders to an enormous degree. And that's where they hit on Cooper Kupp. That's where they hit on Robert Woods. That's where they hit on literally every single player that's not a splash player. So they've decided 1st and 2nd round picks, trade them for free agents, everything else make up in the back half of the draft, which is what I think a lot of people are not realizing right now, and it's fucking with a lot of teams.
Well, that definitely set a ball in motion because there was a couple first rounders that got traded for actual players. Usually on draft night you see like pick swaps. You don't see player for picks usually, like at least not like to the caliber of A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles.
A.J. Brown to the Eagles.
Marquise Brown
Yep.
to the Cardinals, which is going to be a huge deal now that DeAndre Hopkins got suspended for 6 games for performance-enhancing drugs.
Yep.
That's going to be crazy. I think Hollywood Brown just became the number 1 option there because I don't see A.J. Green, Old Man Green being the number 1 there. So he's a number 1 option for the first 6 weeks. You got A.J. Brown.
It also makes Chase Edmonds and James Conner.
Yeah.
Top tier running backs.
Top tier guys. I mean,
they're going to get a lot of workload.
Yeah, because the whole offense was running through DeAndre that last.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely interesting. And to piggyback off James Conner, though, Pittsburgh loves drafting those Pittsburgh guys.
Yeah.
They went Pittsburgh again.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett is their guy.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. So he is the odds-on favorite for Rookie of the Year, for Offensive Rookie of the Year, which makes sense for Vegas reasons because, like, obviously quarterbacks usually win it. But Mitch Trubisky's the starter in my head. Like, Mitch Trubisky starts at least the first 5 weeks.
Yeah.
The dude got signed on to come play. He went to a Pro Bowl. Everyone seems to forget that he went to a Pro Bowl. Dude was legitimately good under the terrible Matt Nagy offense. The fact that he took the Matt Nagy offense to the playoffs deserves some fucking level of respect. It deserves a little bit of respect, and I don't think we should just write him off immediately. There's a reason he was a top 10 draft pick.
Yeah.
There's a reason that he went to a Pro Bowl. Why are we just giving up on him and saying it's Kenny Pickett season, you know?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Kenny Pickett played against my team, Michigan State, in the Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
And he was good. But there was no part of that game where I was like, I am fucking terrified of this guy. Like, watching the Ohio State game, I was terrified of the Ohio State quarterback. And he was a freshman. Like, he didn't even come out in the draft. But, like, during that Peach Bowl game, I was like, yeah, he's good. But, like, I don't know. I'm not seeing where he's going to, like, light up NFL defenses. What I will say, though, as well, is that I saw Matt Ryan play in college live, and I had the exact same thought. And obviously, he went on to win an MVP. So, I could be wrong there. I am with you on Mitch Trubisky. I think him and Baker Mayfield, people like to shit-talk them and make them out to be worse than they actually are. But I actually think Mitch Trubisky's going to be all right this year. Like, I think Pittsburgh is so good as
Pittsburgh's
a defense
ridiculously
that they're
good
going to win.
Yeah.
They're going to win at least half their games. Mitch is better than what Roethlisberger was last year. Roethlisberger was awful.
The fact that, like, the Pittsburgh defense, like, going into this season has multiple guys that can go out there and win Defensive Player of the Year this year is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, usually one defense has, like, one player that might have a chance at it. Every season going into it, Minka Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt both have a very strong chance of winning it. Like, they are both absolute studs. Like, you could, like, honestly, it reminds me of, like, their division rivals. Like, that Baltimore team, Baltimore has always been defense heavy. Like, their best quarterback in the history of the team is Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Who gets a lot of hate. Yeah. And, I mean, Lamar Jackson, I like him. I think he's a solid quarterback. I think he gets more hate than he deserves.
He's very polarizing.
Yes.
He's either, you think he's MVP worthy and a top 5 dude, or you think he's, like, bottom half.
Yeah. And I think he gets more hate than he deserves, but also I won't say he's, like, the greatest quarterback of all time or anything. Like, I think it's one of those things where, like, that defense can really carry you. Like, the Ravens won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco and Trent Dilfer. Yeah. Kenny Pickett doesn't have to be shit. All he has to be is good enough to beat Mitch Trubisky, and Mitch Trubisky just has to be good enough to beat Trent Dilfer.
Yeah. Well, that is the fun part about the NFL over, like, NBA is once we get to playoffs, you really only have to win 4 games in a row. Like, or even, like, I guess 4, because if you're a 1 seed, you probably were pretty good. But you could be mediocre all year and then just pull off 4 wins in a row and you're good.
Oh, yeah, we've seen it happen with, like, 8-8 teams, you know. The Giants went in to beat the undefeated Patriots.
But I think this conversation will be better closer to the beginning of the year when we see how things have shaked out. Let's get back to the draft and it's been a little ADHD so far. So
let's been very scattered.
Let's break it into topics. Let's just start heavy. Who, in your opinion, had the best draft out of the 32 teams that had it, and who had the worst?
Okay, so in my opinion, this is going to sound very weird because I don't even like putting these two words in the same sentence. But the Jets were real big winners, which just sounds wrong. I almost puked in my mouth a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. The Jets won big, though. I don't know. Like, I was watching it, and every time they came on the clock, I was like, holy shit, that's another good pick.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, the Jets might actually win 5 games this year, you know? Like, they might actually do this thing. Like, the Jets made like a couple of really good picks. They had some guys like fall to them. They made Breece Hall is also, that was a solid pick.
I'm salty that they didn't pick that Kenneth Walker wasn't the first running back off the board. But Breece Hall is so athletic. Like, he has the potential to be incredible. Yes. I don't think he's going to be better than Kenneth Walker, but I can't fault the pick.
Because, like, here's the thing. Like, for one, you got Sauce Gardner just...
Excellent.
I mean, that was a lock of a pick at 4. I don't understand Houston at 3 going Stingley over him.
Yeah.
I mean, Ahmad Gardner, in my opinion, the best...
Give me the dude that's played over the last 2 years. Dude hasn't played since Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow were on the team.
I mean, like...
For real.
I get it that you have, like, all that training camp, like, stuff of him going up against the guy who just, like, took a young team to the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. You have all that tape on Stingley or whatever at training camp and stuff. But, dude, Ahmad Gardner is different. Like, he has had the best college football, like, cornerback career since Jalen Ramsey, who also went top 5.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. Like, dude just won the Super Bowl. He's a great cornerback. And I think Ahmad Gardner is going to have a very similar career to that. I think Ahmad Gardner is one of those guys where, like, his stats this season alone were absolutely insane. Like, you can't write a better season for a corner.
So the 2 knocks, and I understand this, I agree with you that Stingley should have gone after Sauce. But the 2 reasons you go Stingley are that Sauce played good competition twice in the last 2 years, both times against Georgia, which Georgia not known for their quarterback or wide receiver.
Yeah,
that was not their strong. He did a great job. He did a good job in run defense, but for the most part, he's going against AAC opponents, and that's like
he played well against Bama
and Notre Dame. By the way. Oh, you're right. He did play well against Bama. The other knock, so it was Georgia in the bowl game 2 years ago, and then Alabama in the bowl game this year. He did do well against Alabama, and that's kind of where I'm like, okay, maybe he can do it. The other one is the Lions pick from 2 years ago, Jeff Okudah, had very, very similar stats to Sauce Gardner at Ohio State. But kind of the same problem. Michigan didn't really have top tier receivers. Penn State had Jahad Dotson, but that was really it. Michigan State didn't really have top tier receivers. He didn't go against top tier competition. And then when he did at Clemson, he got burned for that long ass fucking touchdown. And so he got picked 3rd. And so people going, wow, Jalen Ramsey worked out. Is he the outlier or is Jeff Okudah the outlier? So they looked at Derek Stingley and they went, this guy's played against Alabama, he's played against Texas A&M, he's played against other top-tier people, and he's got it athletically. Like, athletically, that dude is a freak.
My thing is, yes. So he did play, his competition was fewer and far between to Stingley, okay? But when he did play those guys, he still put out great games. And when he played the nobody teams, he put up flawless stats, like literally flawless stats.
I would say he didn't put up any stats at all.
Yeah, exactly. There was like 0. Yeah, there was 0. The QBR like thrown towards him.
That's like the old thing. Like Booger McFarland was saying, he was like, look, a sign of an immature corner is that they get a lot of interceptions, because it means that the quarterbacks feel like they are in a bad position and they could get them on the throws. Now, the good immature corners will get the interception. The bad immature corners will whiff and then give up a touchdown. But yeah, I agree with you. I also would have gone Sauce. I think he's got the athletic profile and the numbers to back it up. And I also agree with you on the Jets having a top two draft. I think Jermaine Johnson
Johnson fell to him at like
unbelievable
26.
value.
What a steal! That was just hey, let's move back up. Let's get the best guy available right now because he is falling hard.
Yeah.
And so they took him, but then you look outside of Sauce and Johnson stacking up on defense there. They're trying to build around their quarterback.
Yeah.
And they did it pretty well. Garrett Wilson at 10.
Garrett Wilson's a beast.
I think that's a great pick. I mean, I think the line between the wide receivers in this draft is so narrow that I don't really think you can. Obviously, once they go out and they all play, they're going to have very different careers. But
very
like
different styles.
Very different styles, yeah. And I think there's going to be better system fits and different players are going to have better careers because of that. But I think coming into the draft, there's a reason why those guys went 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
You know, they all went off the board in a row, and I don't think one pick is necessarily better than the other. I don't think Jameson Williams any worse than Garrett Wilson. I think they're all great. So I think that was a great pick. And then obviously Breece Hall. I think they're setting Zach Wilson up for success.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to build around this young quarterback. And for once, I don't think a Jets quarterback is set up to fail. Like, I think they're really trying. Like,
they're giving it a shot.
Like, they failed so many times that they're like, I think we've learned our mistakes. And I'm like, holy shit, did they learn their mistakes? This is crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's so I thought about this analogy the other day, because the new thing when you're building a team is to not jump for a quarterback. Like, you think about, like, 2009 Lions, like, they went fully defeated. Like, they were fully defeated, and then they go, all right, well, we're getting Matt Stafford. He's gonna save our team. And that is the old school way to think about it. The new school way to think about it is that, like, the quarterback is a military general.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you've got the best military general in the entire fucking world. Would you rather be the general for the United States or fucking Tasmania? Because if you could be the smartest general in the entire world, if you're the general of Tasmania, I'm sorry, you're getting fucking smashed by the United States. Like, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. So you can have these, like, top tier quarterbacks that are completely set up for failure that could be fantastic, which is why, like, as much fun as I like having at the Packers refusing to draft wide receivers, that's the reason they've been good for my entire fucking life, is because they don't get the splashy dudes. Like, they just draft defense and they're always solid.
I mean, this year they really fucked up.
I think they did too, because they reached for Quay Walker.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. No, it's just you trade away Devontae Adams. So Aaron Rodgers,
I think they had to.
I mean, you had to, yes. He wanted out. He wanted to go play with Derek Carr again. He wanted to relive those college days.
He grew up in Vegas.
Yeah, so it was very much a good fit. You trade Devontae Adams away. You have not drafted a receiver in the first round since 2002. Aaron Rodgers is over here, like, pissed off. He's got that anti-vax rage in him. He's immunized. And he's filled with anger. His girlfriend left him again. And he's just over there raging out. And you go 2 first-round picks this year. You're like, one of them's gotta be.
One of the deepest.
One of them's gotta be a receiver. One of them's gotta be. And then you go 2 defensive players from Georgia.
I love it.
This is the first time ever that two defensive players from the same team have gone in the first round to the same. Same school to.
That is, yeah.
It's a weird statistic.
It is a weird statistic, but why would it have happened? You know.
Yeah. Why else would that? There's so many Georgia players that came off the board just because how good that Georgia defense was.
5 in the first round, right?
That Georgia defense was crazy good.
Yeah, plus Jameson Williams on top of it. Or no, he was Alabama. George Pickens is who I was thinking of. But he was round 2, right?
And that man's a menace. Have you seen?
Yeah.
I understand why he didn't go first round. That man is. Oh boy! Oh my
Character
god!
Character
flaws.
I don't know anything about this.
Oh, you don't know about this?
No.
Dude squares up on every play, and it's the greatest. I'm like, this is amazing.
Isn't he hurt right now?
I don't know. Probably got hurt in a World Star video.
Yes.
I mean, this man is a menace, and I am here for.
So you're nominating him as most likely to get killed in a drive-by.
Yes, dude is like wilding the fuck out. Dude is like, I forget who was that player that just like punched the helmet, like dumbest move ever.
That
is who he is destined to become.
Finnegan and Andre Johnson.
Well, that one happened too, but there was one more recently where someone like snatched the chain and then they punched the helmet.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, but that is who Pickens is destined to become. That. Like this man was. Also, he went to the Steelers, right? And that's amazing to me because it's like, we're getting rid of Juju. He's a toxic locker room guy. And then they're like, let's go get another toxic locker room receiver. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Pittsburgh's gonna Pittsburgh. They're gonna go Antonio Brown, Juju, Pickens.
They got the culture for it.
We need a menace of a wide receiver at all times.
Tomlin is so solid. Like he can handle it. Like Belichick can handle it. Sean Payton can handle it. Speaking of Belichick, worst draft of the year for me is the Patriots.
Yeah.
So few picks, such a reach for a guard, for a small school guard out of Chattanooga. Billy B, what are you doing? That's just bad draft math. Like, even if you love this kid, trade up from like 80 to 65, dude. Like, don't use 26.
Here's the thing. If you look at the Patriots drafting, it's never been great.
No.
They're like N'Keal Harry first round. And
yeah.
then
like, I will.
There's been a lot
I was very high on N'Keal Harry.
I was too. But there's been a lot of reaches though.
Yeah.
In their history, and very few of them actually paid off. And that's just one of those. They build in those middle rounds, and like you can't even complain about their terrible drafting because Belichick has won so much.
I know. Well, so now you get to like, all right, can Tom Brady not, like, Tom Brady's gone? Can they make up for those deficiencies? Because I know this firsthand. The Lions were awful fucking drafters too. They all, like, when Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia were there from the Patriots system, that's exactly what they would reach for a need, and then they would get like whoever filled their specific fucking thing, and it didn't matter like talent or anything like that, and we ended up with slow ass players that were just getting torched by tight ends because our linebackers were shit. Our cornerbacks were shit. Like, our defense was awful. Weirdly, they were actually okay at drafting offense. Like, they reached up a little bit, but defensively it was awful. And I'm like, how is that not going to be the Patriots' future? I've seen that before, and now that Tom Brady's not there, how is that not where they end up?
Here's why the Patriots didn't have the worst draft for me. We expect them to have a bad draft at this point. Like, they are bad at drafting, and it's expected. So for me, the worst draft was the Cowboys. Because they reached really high on an offensive lineman that was projected to be like a third rounder.
They needed an offensive lineman, but
they did not need this guy.
Yeah.
They did not need this guy. He pops up on the screen on NFL Network, and first rounders, they list off like good attributes. You know? This guy pops up, they're like, a lot of penalties, this guy. I'm like, oh boy. As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I love that pick. But if that's his thing, and you're taking him in the first round, you're like, oh boy. They're like, this guy false starts a lot. And you're like, oh shit, dude, that's something hard to kind of get someone That's tough to beat out of a player.
That means he's
because discipline's not usually something you can train. You know?
Right? They've just gotta get. It's like being
technique
antsy on stage.
Yeah.
You gotta be relaxed and confident. The Cowboys are one of those, like, just from talking with Eli Haba, who's a big Cowboys fan and been on this podcast a few times. He was saying all we need is an offensive line. Like, I love our team. We just need an offensive line. Like, maybe a safety. I was thinking, like, maybe they were going to trade up for, like, a big offensive lineman. Like, it wouldn't have been that hard for them to go to 20 to, 12 or not. I don't think they were going to get Ike Ekwonu or
I don't think they would have moved up that far.
They could have at least gone up to, like, 15 and gotten a solid offensive lineman. And maybe the offensive line just wasn't that deep this year, but I kind of thought, like, if you're in win now mode,
which they definitely
why
are,
not trade up,
And it's like, in my opinion, I don't even think they had to move up that far. Like, to be real, like, there was still good offensive linemen coming off the board. Like, you had the Chargers at 17 got Zion Johnson,
right?
Which I think
Zion Johnson would have been perfect for them.
Or, like, honestly,
I think they needed a tackle, not a guard. But yeah,
okay, but you still had Tyler Smith from Tulsa was just a weird pick for me. I don't know. I just did not like that pick for them, and it felt like a reach. Literally, like, a couple more picks ahead of them, they had Trevor Penning go. They could have, if they didn't have to move up for one of the top guys.
Right.
They could have moved up a couple spots, and they could have been good. I don't know. The Cowboys dumbfounded me on that one, but I
hey, as a fan of football, if you were to tell me a week ago that the Patriots and Cowboys were going to have two of the worst drafts, I would have been like, this is the greatest draft in the history of drafts.
Exactly, yeah. No, I think that's what makes everyone a little bit happier for this. They're like, those guys had the worst ones?
Not to mention...
And then us mentioning that the Jets had the best draft, because no one's threatened by the Jets.
The Giants also had a great draft.
Yeah,
I really believe that they, like, I think...
The highlight of the night for the first night is if you haven't seen Kayvon Thibodeau get announced by this Make-A-Wish kid, their energy on stage is fucking electric. This kid, dude, oh my god, this kid comes out here and he, like, Roger Goodell's still talking and introducing, like, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, all this stuff, and this kid is just 100 miles a minute living out his dream. Goodell's, like, trying to be like, all right, so we're gonna have a Make-A-Wish kid make the announcement, and he's in the background going, whoa, hell yeah, let's go Giants. And you're just getting, I'm an Eagles fan, so that's a division rivalry, and I'm still getting amped up. I'm like, let's go. Like, who's the pick? Like, I'm fucking
so excited for them to take Evan Neal. And then
they announce the pick, and then he comes running out, and they're, like, dapping each other up, like, chest bumping. I'm like, I love this energy. I was like, I hate the Giants, but I want this guy to succeed just because he matched the energy. I'm like, that was the highlight of night one for me, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, the highlight of the draft, to compound with the Patriots and the Cowboys having bad drafts, is that both the Eagles and the Lions had fantastic drafts.
Our teams did go off.
The Athletic is putting both of us in the top 5. Like, PFF has got both of us as an A+. Like,
I mean, here's the thing. So
it's like, what? Oh my God, is it fucking Christmas? Like, everything is going right for me.
So here's the thing with the Eagles draft.
You're salty.
I'm a little bit salty.
You're salty for part of the reason that I'm a little salty.
Because I love Jordan Davis. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Jordan Davis.
And I love Jameson Williams.
That's a big dude, and I love me some Jordan Davis, and I think he's great. I loved his energy. He was out there celebrating with Eagles fans in the crowd. It was a great moment. Support it. I like the pick. What I don't like is that we passed on who I think might be one of the best safeties to come out.
I'm going to say it at the same time.
Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle fucking Hamilton. I wanted Kyle Hamilton.
We both wanted Kyle Hamilton so bad.
We traded up, and I texted you. I was like, I want Kyle Hamilton. And then you were like, fuck you, I want Kyle
was that he went the very next pick. The guys we traded up to pass, because we were like, oh, they're going to take Jordan Davis from us.
Yeah.
Went and took the guys who I really wanted. And here's the thing. Here's the thing for me. So, you guys are very much in a rebuild still.
Yes.
You're like maybe 1 or 2 years away.
Yeah.
The Eagles went to the playoffs last year. We're playing for now.
You really stumbled your way into the playoffs, but okay.
Yeah, but we're playing for now.
Yeah.
All right, with that AJ Brown trade, we are playing for right fucking now.
Yes.
We have Fletcher Cox. We have Brandon Graham. Our defensive line is a well put together unit. Our secondary is lacking. We lost Malcolm Jenkins, did not replace him. We lost Rodney McLeod, did not replace him. We do not have safeties. When we were the front runner for Tyrann Mathieu, I was so happy because we needed somebody. That man went and signed with the Saints. I texted my dad while watching the draft. I go, if we don't sign Tyrann Mathieu and we passed on Hamilton, our secondary is fucked for the year.
Yeah.
And we did not get Tyrann Mathieu. Hamilton's a Baltimore Raven. And our secondary is fucked for the year. Like, it is. Like, I mean, fuck.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's rough because Kyle Hamilton. I do think Kyle Hamilton is. The Ravens do not get talked enough about how great their draft was.
No, their draft, I agree, was
their draft was fantastic, and I'm not seeing them listed as one of those top 5 teams. But I really do think
I saw it in the Athletic. They had them as number 3. It went Jets, Giants, Ravens, Lions, Eagles. If I remember correctly,
because they had a fantastic draft.
They got Nakobe, or no, you guys got Nakobe.
Eagles got Nakobe Dean in the 3rd, which I love because he fell because there was this rumor came out on draft night 1. Nakobe Dean was there. He was expected to go in the top 20.
Yeah.
For every
so
expert.
I want to touch on Nakobe.
So
Dean
he was
later,
in it. He was in a
because I think he's his own conversation.
Okay.
But
he was in a pink suit. He was looking fly as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's dressed up for night 1. He's like, I'm going tonight, as he should. He's a top prospect at linebacker. Obviously, he played. He balled out. Then he falls all the way out of the first round. Night 1 ends, and everyone's like, what the fuck's going on with Nakobe Dean? Then this report comes out, like, oh, Nakobe Dean refused to get surgery on his pec or his shoulder and might have to redshirt, miss all of his rookie season.
Yeah.
Then he gets drafted by the Eagles and then releases this record that, like, hey, I'm playing this year. I'm like, dude, we just landed the greatest steal in the history. I mean, terrible on him to, like, wait till he gets drafted to be like, wait, no, I can play this year.
The issue is that he might play this year, but his career might be super short. Because the likelihood of him, like, seriously injuring himself is a lot higher because he didn't get that surgery. Which is why people were like, I don't want to spend a first rounder on him. Also, here's the other thing with Nakobe Dean, because like I've listened to a lot of podcasts. Like I heard Todd McShay talk about it. I've heard Bruce Feldman talk about it. I've heard Ryan Russillo talk about it. They all fucking love Nakobe Dean. Mm-hmm. If you go online, you can find a Brett Coleman video, 20 minutes long, dissecting why he does not think Nakobe Dean is going to be good at the next level. Mm-hmm. And he is essentially saying he's got every single part of him except he's too small and he can't get off blocks when the linemen get up to him. Now hold on
a second. Hear me out. He's too small and we don't have a safety. Nakobe Dean playing safety for the Eagles now.
I don't think he's fast enough for that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I was really trying to save our secondary for a second there.
Essentially,
just spitballing, you know?
What he was saying is like 2 things happen when you've got an all-time great defense at Georgia. You've got people like Trayvon Walker, where he maybe didn't get to showcase all of his abilities because everyone else around him was so good. Mm-hmm. Or you've got the guys whose deficiencies were covered up because everyone else was so good. And his argument was that 98% of the time, the rest of the Georgia defense was able to cover up Nakobe Dean's deficiencies, but in that 2%, when the offensive line was able to get to the second level, Nakobe Dean was fucking useless. And what happens when you get to the NFL, and the Eagles actually have a good defensive line with Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis and Brandon Graham, so maybe they could cover up some of these deficiencies. But like when you've got Rashawn Slater and Penei Sewell and Ike Ekwonu and Evan Neal and these top tier offensive linemen that are going to start coming after him, they don't know if he's actually going to pan out. And then that with the injury stuff, teams are like, not fucking worth it. And it sucks for him, but like it's hard to commit, tens of millions of dollars to a guy that you're like, well, he might only play for 3 years. He might not even be good.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I do think at the third round, it's worth the gamble.
Oh, third round, yeah. Third round. I'm talking first and early second round.
When he fell out of the first, I thought any team that wasn't willing to risk a second on him was dumb. Yeah. I thought it was worth the gamble.
I wanted to get,
because second rounders get fucking traded for like just a giveaway, like a throwaway trade type of thing.
Yep.
And if you're not willing to gamble on potentially a great,
so the Lions had an opportunity to take Dean with 46, and I was at a comedy show with the TV there, and I was like talking to Corey Oskowitz and I was like, I really want Nakobe Dean. I want Nakobe Dean so bad. I want him so bad. I was getting all hyped, and then we got Zach Pascal from Kentucky, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, why didn't we get Nakobe Dean? But here's the other thing. The Lions were the only team that had a top 30 interview with Nakobe Dean. Only team that had a top 30 like in-person interview with Nakobe Dean, because we had picks 32 and 34 before we traded him. And so if we like spent all that time on Nakobe Dean and he fell to us in the second round and we still passed on him, like, man, maybe there's something really wrong with him. Like, I don't know. And we'll never see the physicals, but like, we took a real shot at getting to know that guy and we still passed on him. So I have to kind of sit back and be like, I guess I trust him. Like, I guess I trust that they didn't just make a horrible mistake here with this draft. Like last year I wanted them to draft Micah Parsons, but at least Penei Sewell is like good. He's gonna be good.
Yeah.
If Zach Pascal is a flop and Nakobe Dean turns out to be like the next Ray Lewis, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
I mean, I won't be too mad.
No, you'll be
really excited. I'll be pretty excited, not gonna lie. I mean, I'm gonna be really mad if Jordan Davis doesn't pan out, because just in my head when we moved up, I was like, oh, it's go time, Kyle Hamilton. That's the pick in my head, because that's the most immediate need.
You had that feeling 5 minutes after I had that feeling, where I was like, we just moved up and we're gonna get Kyle Hamilton.
But it was like it didn't process for me, because like our major needs. If you look at the Philadelphia Eagles as a whole, you see a good team, but the only great part about that team is the defensive line.
Yeah.
That defensive line is stacked, and it's the reason why we beat Brady in the Super Bowl a couple years back.
Yeah. Derek
Barnett with the strip sack. You rarely see Tom Brady turn it over on a 2-minute drill.
Right.
In the Super Bowl, like, our defensive line is elite. There's so many guys. There's depth on that defensive line. And the fact that we moved up and we ignored our secondary again, I'm just like, God damn it, dude. Yeah. All we have back there is Darius Slay. You throw to the other side of the field and everybody is wide the fuck open.
Let me one-up you there. The Lions had one mid-tier safety and then one mid-tier corner, and every other defensive back was an undrafted free agent, except for this dude named Will Harris, who was a safety. He'd been a safety his whole career, and our cornerbacks were so bad and so injured that he had to play cornerback in 3 of our games. Like, we had a safety playing cornerback because our DBs were so fucking bad. And we still don't have a safety. We don't have another safety. We have Tracy Walker, and that's it. And we have Amani Oruwariye at corner. You've never even heard of those fucking guys.
I have not.
At least you have Darius Slay, dude. Like, we had to get Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah,
but here's what this says. Is that the value by position is what teams care about now. Because if anybody was going to break that, so the highest value positions, because the way that, and a lot of people don't know this, the way that the pay structure happens is you do not pay for your draft picks based on their positions. Free agents, you get paid based on your position. Mm-hmm. Like, defensive ends are worth a ton, quarterbacks are worth a ton.
If you get franchise tag,
punters
you get paid
are not worth
average.
a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Draft picks are worth the same amount no matter what position they're in.
Draft, yeah.
So the top pick makes X amount of money, and it could be a quarterback, it could be a defensive end, it could be a punter.
Yeah.
And it goes down from there. And what we learned, because safeties are not expensive, it's very cheap to get a top tier safety. If the Lions, for instance, had taken Kyle Hamilton, they at number 2, they would have had the 7th most expensive safety in the entire league in his first year. And so if anyone was going to break that mold and be like, this guy's fucking worth it, it was going to be Kyle Hamilton. But now, since he got picked 14th or 15th, he is now being paid like an average safety, which is where I think he'll be his first year.
Yeah.
He'll be an average safety. And so all this told us was that it doesn't matter how good you are at your position, and now it's the same with running backs, and it's the same with offensive guards, you are not going to be picked top 10. Top 10 is quarterbacks, it's wide receivers, it's
Do you think we'll see
defensive
another?
ends.
Do you think we'll ever see another top 10 running back?
No. I don't.
You think Zeke and Saquon
I
were
think
like the last
Zeke and
couple?
Saquon were the absolute last ones, especially with how the game has gone in terms of being pass heavy. But Zeke has not been able to stay healthy. Saquon's not been able to stay healthy. Their careers normally last between 6 and 7 years, where like you get a wide receiver, it lasts 12. You get a defensive end, it can last 12. And those guys are game breakers. Like, you get you see what happened with Cincinnati. They got Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow won one more year, and suddenly they're in the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that changed their entire team. Saquon's been with the Giants for the entire time they've sucked. It didn't matter. It didn't matter that Saquon is that good. No. So, I'm not happy that we passed on him, but it is interesting that now it is set. Top 10 picks are for cornerbacks, they are for defensive ends, they are for quarterbacks, and they are for wide receivers, and that's it. Every other position does not get picked in the top 10.
Oh, I think definitely linemen on both sides.
Sorry, yes. Tackles.
Linemen,
Tackles are up there as well.
Linemen are just going to be across the board. You're going to want, because you build from the middle.
But not centers or guards. Only tackles.
I think if there's a very highly touted
Quentin
one,
Nelson is the only guard that went that high in the draft. And even he's borderline not quite worth it.
He's worth it. Quentin
Nelson?
I mean,
he's great.
Future Hall of Famer.
But it's all about getting deals. It's all about getting deals on your guys.
Yeah.
So, if they had gotten him at 10, he would have been a fantastic deal. But instead, they're paying him like he's one of the best guards in the league. He is. So he turned out to be worth it. But if he was a bust, the downside is huge. Yeah. I don't remember who else was in that draft besides the Bosa. One of the Bosas was in that draft. But they could have had, other fantastic players. It turns out Quentin Nelson was worth it. But that is such a risk.
Yeah, it's a pretty big risk. It is, yeah. I mean, I think the riskiest move is always going to be quarterback early.
Yeah.
I think that's why I think Pittsburgh really lucked out that they didn't have to move up to get the guy they wanted either.
Right.
Also, the other thing
they could have gotten anybody.
They could have gotten anybody. All the quarterbacks were still available at 20, which is something you don't see much anymore.
No. Well, that's what I was about to ask you
Usually
next.
there's a top 5 quarterback.
Give me your take. Why? Because I have a theory. Give me your take.
Why? Kenny Pickett? Why wasn't it Malik Willis?
Well, why did Kenny Pickett go above everybody else? And then 2, why did everyone else drop? Like, you've got Desmond Ridder, who came out and he's like, I texted Malik and was like, do they just not like us? Like, what the fuck is going on? And everybody was like, there might be a run on quarterbacks. They might, Carolina might take one at 6, and then everyone's got to trade up and get their guy. And like all this other, nobody thought they were going to make it past pick 40, at least the top 3 guys.
Here's the thing when it comes to quarterbacks in this year's draft. Every team has their guy. Or at least has their guy for this season. The Panthers aren't ready to move on from Sam Darnold. Seattle is weirdly committed.
Everybody else is ready to move on.
Seattle is weirdly committed to Drew Lock.
They love him. They love
I don't
Drew.
get it. I don't understand it.
He probably reminds like Pete Carroll of his grandson or some shit.
I believe I said it on this podcast last year. I was like, oh man, just wait until those Denver receivers get a good quarterback, and then boom, finally happened.
I have to admit,
I've been a huge Drew Lock hater from day one.
I was actually pro Drew Lock for a while.
Are you out on the Drew Lock?
Out on Drew Lock.
Thank God.
I'm out on Drew Lock. Now here's
my
the
thing.
thing.
I've been saying it forever.
He's gonna be so good in Seattle now that I've said that.
Here's my thing, Drew Lock. If your best highlight is you on the bench rapping, you're not a good quarterback. No. All right, go download SoundCloud. Go fucking find the new profession. Go spit some bars.
Yep.
You're not a quarterback.
Sound equipment is not expensive.
Exactly. You can afford it with the contract that keeps getting thrown your way for some reason because you don't deserve it.
He's got to be like really smart or something.
He's got to be like one of those guys that's just like you hear about him and he comes into every team and they're like, oh, why is he?
Yeah, right.
Like, what was there was one guy that made so much money just as a backup quarterback and, like, never really played. I fucking forget the guy's name.
Well, Brian Hoyer is
Hoyer's
pretty much, he's had, like, a 40-year
Chase
career.
Daniels is who I was
Chase
thinking of.
Daniels, yeah.
Chase Daniels been on, like, every goddamn team. Dude's got to pay millions and millions. Yeah, but Fitz would come in and play some magic. Chase Daniels, you never saw a streak of anything.
You're right. He played for the Lions, though. Chase Daniels for the Lions.
Chase Daniels is the best con man since Frank Abagnale.
I've heard the theory, like, your
your
backup quarterback, you just want him to be pretty much a coach.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need him to be really good because it puts pressure on another veteran QB, which you don't really want. Because then you get the Ryan Tannehill being like, fuck this guy.
Fuck this kid.
But what is your theory for why they dropped down so far?
Well, so I don't think anybody needed one necessarily. There was such a run on quarterbacks in last year's draft and the year prior that, like, everyone is trying to rebuild or they already have their franchise guy. People aren't doing the one and done anymore.
Although the Lions need a guy.
The people, yeah,
I think the Panthers need a guy.
But I think the Lions are okay with Jared Goff until they build up a team. They don't want to.
Sure.
They don't want to do what the Jets have constantly done, where they don't have a team and they just keep looking for a better quarterback. Same with why the Browns were so bad for so long.
Yep.
They just kept trying to throw in a quarterback with no team, and it's like you're setting these young kids to fail because these kids are coming in at 21. They can't run a fucking team.
Yeah.
You know. So I think that's why these guys like fell, and I think I'm still a little surprised by the Kenny Pickett choice because if you looked at how Tomlin looked at Malik Willis, there was like his eyes.
Was a lot of articles about
his
that.
eyes like glowed, man.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Malik Willis is a lock to go to Pittsburgh just because the cannon of an arm. Tomlin's never had an athletic guy like that. Like that's. I mean, granted, Pickett's pretty athletic, too. Also, Kenny Pickett has one of my favorite fucking plays in the history of college football.
That made me so mad.
The fake slide?
The fake slide.
The fake slide.
Me off.
What a fucking gangster.
Me off.
What a gangster move.
I don't blame him.
They immediately came out and they were like, this is now illegal. And I was like, what a G.
That was so bullshit. Like, that was so bullshit. And, okay. So part of this is the theory that I've had about quarterbacks Because quarterbacks will do that shit all the time where they like fake like they're going out and then they'll like take 4 more steps, get the first down, and then jump in or jump out of bounds. I have said for years that the best thing, like if I were a defensive coach, I'm going Sean Payton on their ass. I am telling my guys, if even when the quarterback is sliding, I want you headhunting. I want you to punish the quarterback for leaving the fucking pocket. Because if that guy is afraid to leave the pocket, then that negates half the... I don't give a fuck about that court. Take his fucking head off. Take his head off. Because when they try that shit, like, you're losing downs. You're losing downs. Like, teach the quarterback a fucking lesson. Bring the 90s back. I want NFL blitz out in this bitch.
Or he's like, yeah, that's right.
Kill him.
I don't want Lamar Jackson to remember his grandchildren's name. You're like,
fuck no. If he's gonna be fucking cheeky while he's running down the middle of the field, take his head off. I wanted nothing more than that quarterback to absolutely annihilate Kenny Pickett. I
had mixed feelings about the Kenny Pickett's fake slide. I thought, one, I was like, genius, because what a loophole.
Yeah.
But two, you're kind of an asshole for abusing that, because the slide is there to protect the quarterback.
Yes. That's my point.
And then Kenny's like, yeah, it's here to protect me, but also fuck you, my guy. Which is, honestly, that play alone makes me think he's going to have a good career. The fact that he was ballsy enough to fake a slide.
Oh, he's a bastard.
Like, this dude is, I think he's pro ready. Just because there's not many guys. When a quarterback comes into the league and they bust, more often than not, it's them not being mentally prepared.
Yeah.
I think this dude is fucking locked in. Like, this dude has a lot of confidence.
Well,
you hear him talk, you're like, oh, this
Johnny
is a guy.
Manziel had a lot of confidence, too. So did Baker Mayfield.
Okay. Well, so I'm not going to discredit Baker Mayfield or anything. I think he gets shit on a lot. I think he's still going to go have a great career somewhere. I think the Browns are absolutely fucking ruining him.
They're maniacs over there.
They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna keep him just in case Deshaun Watson gets a 6-game suspension, and then he'll go find a real team
full year.
Yeah.
If like Trevor Bauer gets 2 years, like
Yeah.
in baseball, that kind of throws the gauntlet down for the NFL. But keep going.
It's also crazy what kind of precedent that's gonna set, though.
Yeah.
Just because the suspensions have seemed so
Random,
subjective at the will of the commissioner.
Yeah.
That you have, like, the original Ray Rice suspension was a 2-game suspension before the tape came out.
Right.
But you knew what happened. You knew that he punched his wife, and that was 2 games. And then you have betting while you're on hiatus is indefinite. So you're setting a very weird principle.
Those are very different.
They're very
I think
different
you're conflating
things, but
even the timeline,
weird,
you're bringing up something that happened almost a decade ago in Ray Rice.
Okay, so you do Kareem Hunt's a little bit more recent on the domestic violence. That was what, 4 games?
I think Deshaun Watson is the comparison to Calvin Ridley.
Yes.
Like if Deshaun Watson gets
indefinite suspension
2 games or something like that, then like that's where it's going to be. Because he's not suspended. He's still getting paid.
Who?
Deshaun Watson.
Yes. Oh, not only is he getting paid, he's getting the fucking bag thrown at him.
Yeah.
They fucking backed up the fucking brink truck for this man.
So if they suspend Watson for 2 games and Ridley for an entire year, that's where you can draw a comparison. Anything that's happened before, because the culture has changed so much. But it is. Anyway, we're off of the draft.
We're way off the draft. We're way off.
So anyway, I have two theories on the quarterbacks. The first is I don't agree with you that Seattle is actually into Drew Lock. I think part of the problem is that the quarterback class next year is going to be so much better. I think that when you've got the Boston College kid, forget his name, the Ohio State kid, and the Alabama kid, all coming out. C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, and I cannot remember the Boston College guy's name. All of the teams that need a quarterback are like, you know what? I would rather not spend high draft capital and then have to draft a guy next year. Like what the Cardinals did. They wasted their pick on Josh Rosen and then immediately got Kyler Murray. And
yeah, but remember there was
it worked out for them.
Remember there was 11 mistakes before him.
Kyler? What?
Josh Rosen.
Oh yeah.
There's 11 mistakes before him.
Right.
That has aged just so terribly.
They could have gotten a top tier. They could have gotten a top tier player, but so that's part of it. The other part of it is from like looking at the teams that these guys have played on. None of them, besides Kenny Pickett, played in a pro style offense. It was all very RPO heavy, and
when you don't have
the issue is that these players, Sam Howell, Matt Corral, Malik Willis, and Lamar Jackson had this issue too, and that's why he dropped. They did not play in, they didn't play in an offense where they have to make decisions. They made one decision per play, and that was it. It was either read this guy, and then either run the ball or throw the ball to that guy. And after that, it was just like a scramble drill, which is why Sam Howell was good, and that's why Matt Corral is good. But when these NFL teams are looking at it, they're like, man, I don't trust that he can make a third read on a safety cutting across the field like that, which is what you need. Because even Josh Allen, who was not accurate at all, at least he played in a pro-style offense before. Like, he was used to 1, 2, 3, okay, cool, now I'm going to run. And, if you're a top-tier recruit coming out of high school, I think this draft just told you have to go to a pro-style offense.
And I think Josh Allen might be the best case in point for it, too, because he's, not the best prospect coming out of college. But because he was pro-ready, he comes into the league, he's all right. He's not bad for a rookie, you know? He definitely had some turnover mistakes, was not...
Accuracy was
dog shit, yeah. So going into that first year, everyone's like, he's probably the worst out of his quarterback class, out of the starters from that year.
Mm-hmm.
I think going into this year, you gave him the time to improve and get adjusted to the game, but he was already pro-ready. He just had to work on everything else there. I think no one's going to debate. He's easily the best quarterback from his draft class.
Yeah.
I mean, Lamar has an MVP.
Lamar,
he doesn't, but
I
think time will tell. Time will tell. Josh Allen's going to have an MVP before it's all said and done.
I agree. I think
I'd
he's
say
the
he's
better
probably
one,
the
but you
favorite to get
definitely
this year,
can argue Lamar is better.
You could, but you'd be wrong.
I agree. Because, and to my point, in the way too early mock drafts, the kid out of Oklahoma is not in the top 10.
Yeah.
Even though at the beginning of this year, he was. And that's because at Oklahoma, they don't run a pro-style offense. They run air raid, and they run an RPO version of air raid offense. And NFL teams are just out on quarterbacks that don't know how to read a defense.
Well, I also think, back to the Josh Allen thing again, I think Josh Allen's the proof in the pudding that the one and done thing should have never, ever been a thing in the NFL when it comes to judging a quarterback in a team.
Right.
Because teams were so quick to move on from a quarterback that, Jalen Hurts just had his first year as a starter as the Eagles. They went to the playoffs. They were not projected to go to the playoffs.
Right.
They were projected to go 4-12 or whatever. They were projected to have a down year this year. They went to the playoffs, and they were still calling for his head, and they were like, maybe the Eagles go quarterback here. And I think there's so many more teams that are willing to give the quarterback an extra year now.
Yeah.
And this is it doesn't even just go for rookies in my head. I think younger guys that are just new to a new team, Sam Darnold, they want to give him the extra year. I think there's more of a benefit of the doubt, with the quarterback adjusting to a new system.
Yeah.
That's why I was honestly surprised that the Colts made the move from Wentz after just 1 year.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you watch that Jaguars game, the reason why they didn't make playoffs.
Yeah.
And you go,
one bad fuck up.
You go, that was a terrible game by Wentz, but also you look around at that roster. That's the most stacked roster in the league, with the exception of quarterback
and wide receiver. But yes,
they had the most Pro Bowlers.
They were a really good team.
They had the most Pro Bowlers out of anybody, and they didn't make playoffs.
You're right.
It's insane.
Yeah. All right. Last thoughts. We're at time. What have you got?
Oh boy, last thoughts. Eagles had a great draft, so I'm happy about that. Cowboys had a shit one, so very happy about that. That's fucking great. I'll end with this. The first overall pick, crazy to me.
Insane. Why?
Why was it not Aiden Hutchinson?
Ah, man.
I mean, good for you because you're a Lions fan.
Oh, yeah.
But if you ask 32 GMs, 31 of them said Aiden Hutchinson would have been the first overall pick, and then you give the one guy who doesn't agree the first pick.
Yeah.
Like I'm dumbfounded by it, and I really do think. Because they're comparing his athleticism to Jadeveon Clowney, and I'm not trying to take away anything from him or anything, but you just look at them side by side, and you're like, Aiden Hutchinson's the obvious best player in this draft. Like, prospect, on paper, Aiden Hutchinson's that fucking guy. And then the Jaguars were just like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. In 5 years from now, if it pays off for Jacksonville, they'll look like geniuses.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna pay off for them. I don't think it's gonna pay off for them. I think they're gonna look silly for not taking Aiden Hutchinson, and I think that's gonna be I think it's gonna be an issue for them.
I 100% agree. The only argument is that he's got time to develop. Jacksonville's not trying to make a Super Bowl push anytime soon. So he's got a couple of years, but yeah, I agree with you.
And then so I guess I'll close it out with saying who my Rookie of the Year picks are.
Please, yeah, give me Rookie of the Year, offensive and defensive.
Offensive and defensive. So as far as defense goes, I feel like if you're not saying Aiden Hutchinson, you're lying to yourself. I mean, the dude just He seems like the obvious pick. Yeah, he's gonna get all of the snaps. He's going in, and he's gonna be that guy on defense. And I think he's ready for it. Like, he just seems like that guy. And on offense,
Jameson Williams, bam, double Lions, defensive.
No. As much as you would love that,
oh, I'd be so happy.
There's a couple names that pop into my head. There are a few. I think the one that really pops into my head, and I'm like, as a gambler, I love the odds here. Because he's not even a first-round pick.
Okay.
But
can I guess?
Yes.
Guy Moore.
No, but that would be
right.
That was a guy who crossed my mind. But for me, Christian Watson.
That was my second guess, goddammit.
So much volume.
Yep.
Granted, I say he's not a first-round pick, but he was 34th overall. Like, fucking... Yeah, he's pretty much a first-rounder.
I agree with you.
He's the closest thing that Aaron Rodgers has gotten to a first-round wide receiver, and I think Aaron Rodgers is ready to abuse the fuck out of that. I think Christian Watson's going to have a tremendous fucking year, especially because there's so much volume left over there because there's no other receivers left there. I think he has a very good shot of it. Or, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think maybe, and this might be one of my bolder predictions of the whole draft, but I think Christopher Olave is going to be...
That was going to be my third.
I think he's really going to be the best receiver. I think he's the most set up for success.
Yes. Because he's
going into the Saints where we've seen a lot of success go to the number one with Michael Thomas.
Yep.
And then we've seen Michael Thomas kind of fall off just because of his off-the-field issues and stuff. But Michael Thomas tweeted out, like, oh, let's go, Chris.
Right.
Welcome to the
Both
team.
Ohio State
so he's
guys.
they're on good terms about it. There's no discourse there. But I think Thomas being removed from the game for long enough, he's going to slide into the number 2 role.
Yeah.
And I think Olave is just going to go out there and have the career that we all thought he was going to have for the past couple of college football seasons now. I'm still a little bit amazed that he wasn't the top-ranked receiver coming out.
He got picked second.
He was the third receiver off the board. Drake London was first. Right?
You're right.
Drake
You're
London
right. I
came off
forgot
the
about
board
Drake
first.
London. Not a good pick.
I wasn't high on Drake London either.
No.
I think the 10, 11, 12 picks.
Yeah, I agree.
Those
like
were
Garrett
very
Wilson way
closer. Yeah, even Jahan Dotson to Washington, I like a little bit better than Drake London.
That was a little bit of a reach.
A little bit of a reach, but I love it just because the dynamic of it. He's very different from Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
They have a guy that's got a huge catch radius in Jahan Dotson, and you got Terry McLaurin, a dude who can just stretch the field. Yeah. And so you got two great receivers if Wentz can stay healthy enough to throw it to him.
Yeah, you're right.
But
all right,
yeah, so
we gotta go.
Those are my rookie of the year picks right there.
I love them. I agree. Where can people find it?
Oh, you can find me on social media at I'm Jesse Townsend. I'll also be on SiriusXM on Friday.
Hey,
so
there you go.
Cool.
Which show?
Shade 45.
Nice.
Yeah,
Who's that with? I've never even heard of that one.
Oh, that's Eminem's rap.
No shit.
Yeah, I'll be on there.
You're fucking with it.
No, I'm dead serious. I'll
really?
be on Shade 45.
Hell
Friday.
yeah, dude.
Friday. 12:30
Nice.
You know?
I'm gonna try and get this out tomorrow. So
okay, yeah. So
definitely
Friday,
listen
12:30. Listen to Shade 45.
What show?
To be honest, I don't know whose show it is. I think Sway in the Morning's done by then. But yeah.
Oh, so you're just gonna be DJing?
No, I'm not DJing. They're just interviewing me. I'm like on the panel shooting the shit. You know,
oh, nice.
hanging out. Yeah,
Hell
good time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
all right, listen to Jesse.
I'll be around, you know. Follow me on social media for like all my like show dates if you want to come out and see the show for sure.
Follow me at Corey T Comedy and come check out my shows at the Three Monkeys, and then Chris and I starting in the next couple of weeks are going to have our own show, Chris Ryder, down in the East Village at Ferns NYC. So that'll start May 19th. Mark your calendars.
Right after my birthday.
Yeah, we're gonna get a bunch of people out for that. So definitely check it out if you're in the city. Jesse, I will have you back on here for the fantasy football one in a few months.
Oh hell yeah, I'm excited for that one. Got some sleepers already.